Welcome into the Chic and Ball podcast. Today we're going to talk about the Chicago Sky, the Washington Mystics, college basketball, and we're going to sprinkle in a little bit of NBA at the end. But let's get this thing rolling with the Chicago Sky. We're going to break down last season. They were able to capture the final playoff spot, finishing with a record of 18-22. Led by three-time All-Star, Finals MVP Kahleah Copper, came out had her best season thus far, averaging 18 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists on 44% shooting and 40% from 3. And you know we call her KFC, translation Kahleah fucking Copper. Left hand finish on a fast break, then clean up on aisle 9. Now watch this. Whoop! First step, crossover is deadly, making it look easy over Jonquel Jones, former MVP. First step, so crazy, step back, one better. Chicago Sky lost to the Aces in the first round, and if you lose, you want to lose to the champs. So they got a lot to build on and a lot to watch for next season. Next team we're going to talk about today going to be the Washington Mystics. Finished with a record of 19-21. They were 8th in offense, 5th in defense. 3 core players on the team, Elena Delle Donne, Brittney Sykes, and Natasha Cloud. Really 4 players if you want to add Shakira Austin. But they need more games out of Elena Delle Donne, and they can probably push it a little bit further in the playoffs. But first, B. Sykes, one of the best finishers in the dub. She make the scoop look easier than a hot spoon through ice cream. One step is all I need to teach you a lesson. And Elena Delle Donne, the only player in W history to go 50-40-90. Mid-range sweeter than a lover boy on Valentine's Day. And Natasha Cloud ain't out there playing around neither. I know y'all saw that monster playoff game where she went for 30+, but the best part of her game is her passing. Her passing is second to none, man or woman. She dropped more dimes than the neighborhood informant. But just looking at the Mystics on the outside looking in, Shakira Austin with 19 games, Elena Delle Donne with 24. All we got to do is stay healthy, and we can definitely get this thing to the next level. Shout out Tiana Hawkins and Shatori Walker-Kimbrough, both played in all 40 games for the team. Maisha Hines-Allen, also a big-time contributor. But right now, I want to update y'all on the college athletes that we discussed on some previous podcasts, and let's see how they've been doing so far this season. On the first episode, I talked about JuJu Watkins and Sierra Toomey. But first, let's update you on JuJu Watkins. Through her first 3 games in college, she's averaging 28 points, 7 rebounds, 2.5 steals. She's shooting 56% from the field, 61% from 3. I mean, I knew she was going to be good, but damn. She out there spanking motel than a mom with bad kids. She keep this up, no doubt she going to be freshman of the year and all region. As of this podcast recording, USC currently ranked 10th in the nation. 6 teams from the Pac-12 in the top 10. Alright, but now let's talk about Sierra Toomey, playing for the North Carolina Tar Heels. And I'm going to be honest, she ain't even seen the court yet. She been riding the oak all season. And it ain't just her. North Carolina got 5 freshmen on the team, and not one of them took off their warm-ups. I guess that's how they do it in North Carolina, but if it was me, I wouldn't be just spinning my towel over my head like a helicopter. Coach got to put me in the game or I'm going to make a fuss. But let's talk about the top team in the nation, LSU. As of this recording, currently sitting at 3-1. Angel Reese with 3 double-doubles to start the season. Transfer Haley Van Lith after averaging 19 points last season. Currently averaging 10 points, still trying to find her way on the team. Samaya Smith, Anissa Merle also being big-time contributors. Flau'jae Johnson currently shooting 56% from the field. Alright, but let's keep this thing moving and talk about the Creighton Blue Jays and the player we talked about on episode 2, Lauren Jensen. She's starting out the season getting buckets, averaging 17 points. Having a tough time shooting the 3-ball, however. Through the first 2 games, she's 1 of 9. But even with that, her overall field goal percentage is 51%. Senior Morgan Malley with a 30-10 game for the Blue Jays against South Dakota. Alright, now we're going to come at you with some rapid-fire player updates. After opening the season with 8 points, Paige Beckers bounced back with 27 points against NC State. However, UConn did not win that game. Aaliyah Edwards averaging 22 points on 62% shooting to start the season. Camila Cardoso currently averages 16 and 11 for the South Carolina Gamecocks. Taina Powell also came out on fire, averaging 14 and 7 on 50% shooting. Caitlin Clark out there killing it for the Iowa Hawkeyes. Through 3 games, she's already recorded 1 triple-double and a 44-point game. Iowa Hawkeyes 3-0, currently ranked 3 in the nation. And I'm keeping an eye on the Ole Miss Rebels. They're currently one of few teams starting 5 seniors. Hey, it could be something, and it could be nothing. But I'm going to keep my eye on them and see how this season play out for them. Now I'm going to introduce a new segment on the show, but before we do that, thank you guys for listening and watching. Please like and subscribe, share the video with your friends, leave a comment, ask us questions, and you could end up on the show. In the beginning, I promised we was going to sprinkle in a little NBA, so we introducing a new segment called Who Does She Remind You Of? There's one rule to this segment: I can only comp with NBA players. First, we're going to show you the player from the W, then we're going to show you who their game most resembles. First up today, Elena Delle Donne. I mean, minus the injuries, her efficiency is probably the best in W history. But when I think about it, she's a 3-level scorer. She got the mid-range game, she got the three-pointer, the post-up. But she most reminds me, honestly, of Paul Pierce. She ain't the quickest player, she don't got the quickest release, but all her moves are decisive. She knows exactly what she want to do. She ain't afraid to shoot directly over a defender. Don't matter who guarding her, she gonna get to her spot and rise up. And one thing you don't want to do to her, same thing you didn't want to do to Pierce, is put him on the free throw line, because you know they going in. And they going all around the world with it. They going to give it to you on the baseline, and they going to wait for the contact, take it, and shoot right through you, and dare you to foul them and put them on the line. And one of my favorite things about basketball is the mid-range game. That's why I love watching the WNBA. It's not a lot of people out there sniping for three-pointers. They all getting into the mid-range and getting to the rim. But Elena Delle Donne reminds me of Paul Pierce. Let me know what y'all think in the comments. But let's keep this thing moving. Next player we gonna discuss on the first edition of Who Do They Remind You Of? Sabrina Ionescu. Honestly, I had to think really hard on this one because her game is really, really unique. She don't play like nobody else, so I got to thinking, who else plays like nobody else? And then it hit me. She play a whole lot like Steve Nash. She remind me a lot of that old Steve Nash, not the old Phoenix Steve Nash, but that young Dallas Steve Nash. They both got smooth ass jump shots. They run an offense, no ego, make sure the star player get the ball. And this that Steve Nash that was playing with Dirk. Sab right now playing with Stewie, so her numbers might come down a little bit. But as you can see at the bottom of the screen, we got her career numbers and we got Steve Nash's numbers in Dallas. Now to be fair to Steve Nash, she not as flashy as Steve Nash because that boy was a wizard with the ball. But watching her play, her IQ is real good. She run the offense like a true point guard. She pick her spots on the court. She know when it's her time to take over. So I'm going with Steve Nash as my NBA comp player for Sabrina Ionescu. Let me know what y'all think in the comments. But let's do one more, then we're going to close this thing out. This player always getting snubbed, make big buckets, very highly scouted player out of Cincinnati, Ohio, Kelsey Mitchell. And I wanted to talk about Kels because she only 5'8", but she a straight pit bull. And this one was pretty easy for me to come up with. She remind me a lot of Isaiah Thomas. This is when height in sports don't mean nothing. I mean, they both straight up pure scorers. They putting their head down and getting to that rim. And one thing about being short, I'm short myself. I'm only 5'7". You can see them passing lanes and you can see the pass coming a lot. So it's easy to anticipate a steal. And all the trees out there, they be so worried about you coming to the rim blocking your shot. All you got to do is step back for a midi. And they both lucky lefty. You know they going to their left, but you still can't stop it. If you look at their numbers, they're damn near identical. Isaiah Thomas played a little longer, but you give her some more time in the league, she gonna definitely bump that scoring average up. I mean, to make it as a professional sports athlete at that height is fucking incredible in itself. If you want to watch somebody play their heart out and just flat out get buckets on some straight pit bullshit, then you need to tune in and be watching Kelsey Mitchell. And this segment will be listener and viewer driven. Drop your names in the comments so we'll find some comp players for them. But with that, that is it for another episode of Chic and Ball. I'm your host, Els the Truth. Support. Subscribe to the page. Turn on post notifications as we get you ready for the WNBA season and circle around college basketball.